Lisa stared at Director Zethkal in amazement. You want me to lead a mission to fight the Devourers? Not just lead, the director said, his 4 eyes glowing with excitement. I want you to head the first joint task force in galactic history. We'll combine human creativity and determination with Pyrothian knowledge and Altarian resources. Vrax lifted his great head and spoke directly into Lisa's mind. The director speaks the truth, Lisa Martinez. I have seen into his thoughts. He has lost his family to the Devourers, just as I have lost mine. His pain is real, and his desire for justice burns as bright as dragon fire. Lisa looked at the director with new understanding. Director Zethkal was not what Lisa had expected. The Altarian official was tall and thin, with crystal-like skin that seemed to glow with its own inner light. His face had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and they all seemed to be looking at her at the same time. When he spoke, his voice was calm and cold. Dr. Martinez, he said, settling into the chair across from her in the conference room. I have read Captain Thompson's report about your activities on Kepler 438b. These are serious violations of Galactic Research Council protocols. Lisa sat up straight, trying to appear more confident than she felt. Yes, sir. I understand the seriousness of my actions. Do you? The director's 4 eyes studied her carefully. Unauthorized first contact with an unknown species, failure to follow safety protocols, endangering your crew members. These violations could result in criminal charges and imprisonment. Captain Thompson sat at the head of the table, looking uncomfortable. Director, Dr. Martinez is a good officer who made a mistake. Perhaps we could consider a reduced sentence if she agrees to. Captain Thompson, the director interrupted. I will determine the appropriate consequences after I have all the facts. He turned back to Lisa. Dr. Martinez, I want you to tell me exactly what happened on that planet. Leave out nothing. Lisa took a deep breath. This was her chance to tell the truth, but she had to be careful. Sir, I discovered an injured creature that appeared to be highly intelligent. It was suffering from what looked like energy weapon burns, and I felt compelled to provide medical assistance. Compelled? The director's voice was sharp. Explain. The creature was clearly in pain, and I could see intelligence in its eyes. It wasn't just an animal. It was a thinking, feeling being. Lisa paused, watching the director's reaction. I believe it was trying to communicate with me. Communicate how? Lisa hesitated. This was the dangerous part. I received what seemed like mental images. Pictures of dark ships and creatures with metal teeth. I think it was trying to warn me about something. The director's 4 eyes narrowed. You're claiming this creature has telepathic abilities? I think so, yes. Dr. Martinez, do you realize how this sounds? You're describing a fantasy creature from human mythology that can supposedly speak to you telepathically. Are you certain you weren't suffering from some kind of psychological break? Lisa felt her anger rising. Sir, I am a trained scientist. I know the difference between reality and imagination. What I experienced was real. Peter Kim, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Director, if I may, Dr. Martinez is one of our most skilled xenobiologists. If she says the creature was intelligent, then I believe her assessment should be taken seriously. Dr. Kim, the director said coldly, I will consider all evidence before making my decision. Dr. Martinez, continue your report. Lisa described the creature's wounds and her treatment of them. She explained how the creature had remained calm during the medical procedures, showing a level of understanding that proved its intelligence. All the while, she could feel Vrax's presence in her mind, offering support and encouragement. The creature's injuries were not from any natural cause, Lisa continued. The burn patterns were consistent with advanced energy weapons. Something had attacked it deliberately. And you believe this attack was connected to the mental images you claim to have received? The director asked. Yes, sir. I think the creature was trying to warn me about its attackers. They might be a threat to other species as well. The director was quiet for a long moment. His 4 eyes seemed to be studying Lisa with new interest. Dr. Martinez, describe these mental images in detail. What exactly did you see? Lisa closed her eyes and concentrated. Vrax had shown her more images over the past few days, and she wanted to be as accurate as possible. I saw large, dark ships shaped like insects. They had metal teeth or spines along their hulls. The creatures inside them were also dark, with metallic parts integrated into their bodies. The director's crystal skin seemed to dim slightly. Continue. I saw these creatures attacking populated worlds. They weren't just destroying cities, they were hunting the inhabitants. But they only seemed interested in intelligent species. They ignored plants and simple animals. How do you know this? The director asked, his voice suddenly tense. The creature, I've learned its name is Vrax, has been sharing more information with me. Its people called these attackers the Devourers. They consume the life force of intelligent beings. The room went completely silent. Captain Thompson looked confused, but the director's reaction was much stronger. All 4 of his eyes widened, and his crystal skin began to glow brighter. You said the creature's name is Vrax? The director asked slowly. Yes, sir. He told me his people are called Protheans, and they used to have a great civilization before the Devourers destroyed it. The director stood up abruptly. I need to speak with this creature immediately. Sir? Captain Thompson looked bewildered. I thought we were here to discuss Dr. Martinez's violations. Captain, this hearing is suspended. Dr. Martinez, you will take me to this creature at once. The director's voice had changed completely. The cold, formal tone was gone, replaced by something that sounded almost desperate. Lisa was confused by the sudden change. Sir, are you saying you believe me about the Devourers? Dr. Martinez, I need you to arrange immediate transportation to the planet's surface. Time is of the utmost importance. An hour later, Lisa found herself back on Kepler 438b, this time with Director Zethkal and a small security team. The director had insisted on bringing recording equipment and several types of sensors. He seemed to know exactly what he was looking for. Vrax was waiting for them in the same valley where Lisa had first found him. The dragon's wounds had healed considerably, and he was able to lift his head when they approached. Director, Lisa said carefully, I should warn you that Vrax communicates telepathically. You might experience some mental contact. I'm prepared for that, the director replied. In fact, I'm counting on it. Lisa knelt beside Vrax and placed her hand on his snout. Vrax, this is Director Zethkal from the Galactic Research Council. He wants to speak with you about the Devourers. Vrax's large eye focused on the director. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the director gasped and staggered backward, his 4 eyes wide with shock. By the light of Altair, he whispered, You're really here. You're alive. Lisa looked back and forth between the director and Vrax. Sir, do you know each other? The director's crystal skin was glowing so brightly now that it was hard to look at him directly. Dr. Martinez, this changes everything. Vrax is not just any Pyrothian. He's the keeper of the sacred archives, the repository of all Pyrothian knowledge about the Devourers. How do you know that? Lisa asked. Because I've been searching for him for 20 years. The director moved closer to Vrax, his 4 eyes filled with something that looked like hope. My people have been fighting the Devourers in secret for decades. We've been losing because we don't have enough information about their tactics and weaknesses. Lisa stared at the director in shock. You've been fighting them? But I thought the Council was covering up the Devourer threat. Parts of the Council are, the director admitted. There are those who believe that secrecy is the only way to prevent panic. But there are others of us who have been working to find a solution. We've been building a coalition of species willing to fight, but we've lacked the crucial intelligence we need to succeed. Vrax raised his head and looked directly at the director. Lisa could feel the mental communication between them, though she couldn't understand all of it. Images and emotions flowed back and forth. Grief, hope, determination, and something else. Recognition. What is he telling you? Lisa asked. He's sharing the location of the hidden Pyrothian archives, the director said, his voice filled with excitement. The complete database of Devourer weaknesses and tactical information. This is what we've been searching for. But why didn't you tell me this earlier? Lisa asked. Why did you act like I was crazy? The director looked embarrassed. Because I couldn't be certain. There have been false reports before. People who claimed to have encountered Pyrothians, but were mistaken. I had to verify that Vrax was genuine before I could reveal the truth about our mission. And now? Now everything changes, the director said. Dr. Martinez, your violation of protocol has just become the most important discovery in galactic history. Instead of ending your career, I'm going to offer you a position leading the most crucial mission our species has ever undertaken. Lisa looked at Vrax, who seemed to be listening to the conversation through their mental link. What kind of mission? The mission to save the galaxy from the Devourers, the director replied. With Vrax's knowledge and humanity's unique problem-solving abilities, we finally have a chance to fight back. The director's 4 eyes focused on Lisa with new respect. Dr. Martinez, your willingness to risk everything to help a dying creature has just given us the key to victory. Are you prepared to take on an even greater challenge? Lisa sat in her quarters, staring at the walls and waiting for Director Zethkal to arrive. She had been confined for 2 days now, and the mental connection with Vrax was getting stronger. The dragon was sharing more information about the Devourers. And what Lisa learned made her blood run cold. Tell me about your people, Lisa thought to Vrax. She had learned that she didn't need to speak out loud. The dragon could hear her thoughts. Images flooded her mind. She saw beautiful crystal cities floating in space, filled with creatures that looked like Vrax, but in different colors: gold, silver, blue, and red. The Pyrothians, as they called themselves, had built a civilization that spanned dozens of star systems. We were peaceful, Vrax explained. We loved art and music and learning. We thought we were safe because we were strong and our technology was advanced. We were wrong. Lisa saw the first Devourer attack through Vrax's memories. Dark ships appeared without warning, shaped like massive insects with metal teeth. They didn't try to communicate or negotiate. They simply began consuming everything in their path. They don't just kill, Vrax continued. They feed on the life force of intelligent beings. The more intelligent a species is, the more nourishment they provide. We were a feast for them. The images showed Pyrothian worlds being stripped bare. The Devourers would land on a planet and begin hunting every living thing. But they weren't interested in plants or simple animals. They wanted the smart ones, the ones who could think and feel and create. How many of you are left? Lisa asked. Perhaps a few hundred scattered across the galaxy, Vrax replied sadly. We used to number in the billions. Now we hide in the dark corners of space, hoping they won't find us. Lisa felt sick. An entire civilization had been almost completely destroyed, and no one in the galaxy seemed to know about it. Why hasn't anyone else reported this? Surely other species have encountered the Devourers? They have, Vrax said. But dead civilizations don't file reports. The Devourers are systematic. They study their targets for years before attacking. They learn about their technology, their weaknesses, their military capabilities. By the time they strike, it's too late to resist. More images flowed through Lisa's mind. She saw the Devourer's feeding process, and it was horrible. They would capture intelligent beings and drain their life force slowly, keeping them alive as long as possible to maximize the nourishment they provided. They're coming for humanity next, Vrax said. I've seen their scout ships near your worlds. They've been studying your species for several years now. Lisa stood up and started pacing around her small quarters. We have to warn people. The Galactic Research Council needs to know about this threat. The Council already knows, Vrax replied quietly. Lisa stopped pacing. What do you mean? They've known about the Devourers for decades. Several species have reported encounters. But the Council has been covering it up. They're afraid that public knowledge would cause panic and chaos. So they're just letting it happen? Lisa asked in disbelief. They've been trying to find a solution quietly, Vrax explained. But they haven't been successful. The Devourers are too powerful, and they've had thousands of years to perfect their methods. Lisa felt anger rising in her chest. People were dying. Entire civilizations were being destroyed, and the Council was keeping it secret. That's insane. People have a right to know. The Council believes that knowledge without a solution would only make things worse, Vrax said. They're not entirely wrong. Most species would panic and start fighting each other instead of working together. A soft knock on Lisa's door interrupted her thoughts. Lisa, it's Peter, came Dr. Kim's voice. Can I come in? Lisa opened the door and let her colleague enter. Peter looked worried and tired. I've been thinking about what you said about the creature trying to communicate with you. Is it still happening? Yes, Lisa said carefully. She wasn't sure how much she should tell Peter. Why? Because I've been doing some research, and I found some disturbing reports. There have been several unexplained disappearances of entire colonies over the past few years. The official reports blame equipment failures or natural disasters, but the pattern is strange. Lisa sat down heavily. What kind of pattern? They were all advanced colonies with high populations of scientists and engineers. The kind of people who would be considered highly intelligent. Peter pulled out a data pad and showed her a list of locations. Look at this. 15 colonies, all gone without a trace. Lisa looked at the list and felt a chill. These were exactly the kinds of targets Vrax had described. Peter, what if I told you that the creature I helped knows what happened to those colonies? I'd say you're either going crazy or you've stumbled onto something much bigger than a protocol violation. Peter replied seriously. It's the second one, Lisa said. She looked at her friend carefully. Peter, what I'm about to tell you is going to sound insane, but I need you to listen with an open mind. Over the next hour, Lisa told Peter everything she had learned from Vrax. She described the Devourers, their feeding habits, and their systematic destruction of intelligent species. Peter listened without interrupting, his face growing paler with each detail. My God, he whispered when she finished. If this is true, then humanity is in terrible danger. It is true, Lisa said. And according to Vrax, the Galactic Research Council has been covering it up for years. Peter was quiet for a long moment. That would explain why Director Zethkal is coming personally. If the Council knows about the Devourers, then your contact with the Pyrothean dragon isn't just a protocol violation. It's a potential security breach. What do you mean? Think about it, Peter said. If the Council has been keeping this secret, then they can't allow anyone to publicly discuss it. Your report about an intelligent dragon species would raise questions they don't want to answer. Lisa felt a new kind of fear. Are you saying they might do something to keep me quiet? I don't know, Peter admitted. But Director Zethkal has a reputation for being thorough. If he thinks you're a threat to Council security, he might go beyond just ending your career. That night, Lisa lay in her bed and continued her mental conversations with Vrax. The dragon was sharing more tactical information about the Devourers, including their weaknesses. They're powerful, but they're not invincible, Vrax explained. Their feeding process requires them to establish a psychic connection with their victims. If that connection can be disrupted, they become vulnerable. How do you disrupt it? Lisa asked. Certain electromagnetic frequencies can interfere with their psychic abilities, Vrax said. My people discovered this too late to save ourselves. But we managed to record the information before our final cities fell. Lisa memorized every detail that Vrax shared. She had a feeling that this information might be the key to humanity's survival, but she needed to find a way to share it with the right people. The next morning, Amy came to visit her again. Lisa, Director Zethkal's ship will be here in a few hours. Are you ready for the hearing? As ready as I can be, Lisa replied. Amy, I need you to do something for me. If something happens to me during the hearing, I need you to make sure this information gets to the right people. Lisa quickly wrote down everything she had learned from Vrax about the Devourers and their weaknesses. She handed the notes to Amy, who looked at them with confusion. What is all this? Amy asked. Insurance, Lisa said. If the Council is really covering up the Devourer threat, then they might not want me talking about it publicly. This information could save humanity, but only if it gets to people who can use it. Amy looked frightened. Lisa, you're scaring me. What do you think is going to happen? I don't know, Lisa admitted. But I have a feeling that Director Zethkal isn't just coming here to investigate a protocol violation. He's coming to make sure this information doesn't spread. Through her mental link with Vrax, Lisa could sense the dragon's concern. Be careful, Lisa Martinez, Vrax warned. The Director is not what he seems. There are forces within the Council who would do anything to keep their secrets safe. As Director Zethkal's ship docked with the Terra Nova, Lisa prepared herself for the most important conversation of her life. She had to find a way to convince the Director that humanity needed to know about the Devourer threat, even if it meant risking everything she had worked for. The fate of humanity might depend on what happened in the next few hours. Captain Bill Thompson slammed his fist on the conference table so hard that Lisa's coffee cup jumped. His face was red with anger, and the veins in his neck were bulging. You did what? He shouted. You approached an unknown alien life form without permission? Without backup? Without following any safety protocols at all? Lisa sat straight in her chair, trying to stay calm. She had expected this reaction from the captain, but it still made her nervous. Sir, the creature was dying. I had to help it. You had to help it? Thompson stood up and started pacing around the small conference room. Dr. Martinez, you are a scientist, not a veterinarian. Your job is to study and report, not to play doctor with alien monsters. It's not a monster, Lisa said firmly. It's intelligent. I could see it in its eyes, and it was trying to communicate with me. Amy Carter shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She had been quiet since they returned to the Terra Nova, but now she spoke up. Captain, Lisa is telling the truth. That creature knew we were trying to help it. It stayed perfectly still while she worked on its wounds. Jake Sullivan nodded in agreement. I've seen a lot of animals in my time, Captain. This wasn't just some wild beast. It was thinking, making decisions. Thompson stopped pacing and glared at all three of them. I don't care if it was reciting poetry. The regulations are clear. Any contact with unknown life forms must be approved. By command first. Dr. Martinez, you have violated direct orders and put this entire crew at risk. Lisa felt her stomach drop. She had known this would happen, but hearing it out loud made it real. Sir, I understand I broke protocol, but nothing, Thompson interrupted. I have no choice but to report this incident to the Galactic Research Council. You're suspended from all duties effective immediately, and you'll be confined to quarters until we can arrange a hearing." The silence in the room was heavy. Lisa looked at her friends, but they couldn't meet her eyes. She had made her choice, and now she had to live with the consequences. "There's something else," Lisa said quietly. The creature was trying to tell me something. I think it was warning us about something dangerous. Thompson laughed bitterly. "Oh, this gets better. Now you're claiming you can talk to aliens? Dr. Martinez, you're either losing your mind or you're making up stories to cover your mistakes." "I'm not making anything up," Lisa said, her voice getting stronger. "When I was treating its wounds, I saw images in my head. Dark ships, creatures, with metal teeth. I think something is hunting these dragon-like beings." Dr. Peter Kim, who had been quiet until now, leaned forward. "Lisa, even if that's true, it doesn't change what happened. You broke the rules, and there will be consequences." "Peters." "Right," Thompson said. "And speaking of consequences, I've already sent a message to the council. They're sending Director Zethkal to personally investigate this incident." The room went completely silent. Everyone knew about Director Zethkal. The Altarian official was famous for ending careers over minor infractions. He had once banned an entire research team from Galactic Service because they had collected samples without proper permits. "Director Zethkal?" Amy whispered. "But he only handles the worst cases." "Exactly," Thompson said grimly. "Unauthorized first contact with an unknown species is about as serious as it gets. Dr. Martinez, you won't just lose your job over this. You'll probably face criminal charges." Lisa felt numb. She had known her career might be over, but she hadn't thought about prison. Still, when she remembered the pain in the dragon's eyes, she knew she would make the same choice again. "How long?" "Until the director arrives?" she asked. 3 days, Thompson replied. "I suggest you use that time to prepare your defense, though I don't think it will help much." After the meeting, Lisa went back to her quarters as ordered. She wasn't allowed to leave or contact anyone outside the ship. But Jake and Amy came to visit her anyway. "Lisa, this is bad," Amy said, sitting on the small couch in Lisa's room. "Director Zethkal doesn't just end careers. He destroys them completely. People he's investigated can't get jobs anywhere in the galaxy." "I know," Lisa said, "but I couldn't just leave that creature to die. You saw it too. It was intelligent and in pain." Jake nodded. "I know you did the right thing. But the right thing isn't always the smart thing, especially when dealing with the council." "There might be a way to help," Peter Kim said, appearing in the doorway. "I've been thinking about your report. What if we classified the creature as non-sentient? Just a large animal with basic instincts?" Lisa looked at him in shock. "Peter, that would be lying. That creature is clearly intelligent." "But it would save your career," Peter argued. "If it's just an animal, then you were simply providing medical care to an injured creature. That's not a violation of first contact protocols." "I won't lie about this," Lisa said firmly. "This is too important. If these creatures are intelligent, then the galaxy needs to know about them, even if it destroys your life." Amy asked. Lisa was quiet for a long moment. Yes, even then. The next day, Lisa spent her time writing a detailed report about her encounter with the dragon. She described everything she could remember: the creature's intelligence, the strange wounds, and the images she had seen in her head. If her career was over anyway, she wanted to make sure the truth was recorded. On the second day, she received a message from the dragon. She didn't know how it was communicating with her across the distance, but suddenly she could hear a voice in her mind. Not words, but thoughts and feelings. The dragon told her its name was Vrex, and that it was the last of its kind in this part of the galaxy. The creatures that had attacked it were called the Devourers, and they were moving through space, consuming entire civilizations. They eat the life force of intelligent beings, Drax explained through the mental link. My people tried to fight them, but we were not strong enough. They destroyed our worlds and hunted us across the stars. Lisa felt cold fear in her stomach. Are they coming here? Yes, Drax replied. Your species is next on their list. They have already begun scouting your worlds. Lisa knew she had to tell someone about this, but who would believe her? She was already being investigated for breaking protocol. If she started talking about telepathic dragons and alien invaders, they would think she had gone crazy. On the third day, Director Seth Cole's ship arrived. Lisa watched from her small porthole as the sleek Altarian vessel docked with the Terra Nova. Her career was about to end, but she was no longer thinking about herself, if what Drax had told her was true, then humanity was in terrible danger. The Devourers were coming, and no one knew about the threat. Lisa realized that losing her job might be the least of her problems. She had to find a way to make the director listen to her, even if it meant facing even worse consequences than she already expected. The fate of humanity might depend on it. Director. Zethkal was about to walk into something much bigger than a simple protocol violation. Lisa just hoped she could find a way to make him understand before it was too late. The red dust of Kepler 438b swirled around Dr. Lisa Martinez as she stepped out of the landing shuttle. Her boots crunched on the rocky ground while she adjusted her helmet's air filter. The planet looked empty and dead, just like the reports said. But something felt wrong. Lisa, you getting anything on the scanners? Jake Sullivan's voice crackled through her helmet radio. The pilot was staying with the shuttle, while she and Amy Carter did their survey work. Just rocks and more rocks. Amy replied, waving her scanner around. The engineer had been complaining about this mission since they left the Terra Nova 3 hours ago. I don't know why Command wants us to check every dead rock in this system. Lisa kept walking toward a large hill in the distance. Her scientific training told her to be thorough, even when things looked boring. The Galactic Research Council paid them well to explore new worlds, and she took that job seriously. Wait, Lisa said, stopping suddenly. Her scanner was picking up something strange. I'm getting some kind of energy reading. It's big and it's moving. Jake's voice came through the radio, sounding worried. Moving how? Like an animal? I don't know. It's too big to be any normal animal. Lisa checked her scanner again. The energy signature was massive, about the size of a small building. Amy, are you seeing this? Amy walked over and looked at her own scanner. Her face went pale behind her helmet visor. That's impossible. Nothing that big could be alive on a planet like this. Lisa started walking toward the energy reading. Her heart was beating fast, but she felt excited rather than scared. This was why she became a xenobiologist. She wanted to discover new life forms, even if they were dangerous. Lisa, wait, Amy called out. We should call Captain Thompson first. Protocol says we report any unknown life forms before we approach them. I'm just going to look, Lisa said, not slowing down. We need to know what we're dealing with before we make a report. The three of them climbed over some rocks and around a bend in the hill. What they saw made them all stop and stare. In a small valley below them lay a creature that looked like something from Earth's old stories about dragons. It was huge, with dark green scales that shimmered in the alien sun. Its wings were torn and bleeding, and burns covered much of its body. Holy ... Jake started to say, then stopped himself. Lisa, we need to get out of here. Right now. The creature's head lifted slightly, and one massive eye looked up at them. Lisa could see pain in that eye, and something else. Intelligence. This was not just some wild animal. It's hurt, Lisa said, taking a step forward. Look at those burns. Something attacked it. Something that could burn a dragon, Amy said nervously. And that something might still be around here. Lisa ignored her friend's warning and kept walking down into the valley. The creature watched her approach, but didn't move. Its breathing was heavy and painful sounding. "Lisa, get back here," Jake shouted through the radio. Captain's orders are to observe and report, not to play doctor with alien monsters. "It's not a monster," Lisa said quietly. She was close enough now to see the creature's wounds clearly. The burns looked like they came from energy weapons, not natural causes. Someone or something shot this creature. Look at the pattern of the burns. The dragon's eye followed her movements. When she got within 10 feet, it made a low sound that wasn't quite a growl. Lisa stopped and held up her hands to show she wasn't carrying any weapons. "I'm not going to hurt you," she said, even though she doubted the creature could understand. Her words, "I want to help." Amy and Jake had followed her down into the valley, both of them keeping their distance. "Lisa, this is insane," Amy whispered. "We don't know anything about this thing. It could be dangerous." "It's dying," Lisa replied. She opened her medical kit and started pulling out supplies. "I can't just watch it die when I might be able to help." The dragon made another sound, this one softer. It lowered its head to the ground and closed its eyes. Lisa took this as permission to approach Dot. She started by examining the worst of the burns. The wounds were deep and infected. Without treatment, the creature would probably die within hours. Lisa began cleaning the wounds with antiseptic from her kit. "Captain Thompson is going to have your head for this," Jake said, but his voice was gentler now. He could see that Lisa was right about the creature being intelligent. "And I'll deal with the captain later," Lisa said, working carefully on a burn near the dragon's shoulder. The creature stayed still, letting her work. This is more important than following protocol. As she worked, Lisa noticed something strange. The dragon's wounds weren't just from energy weapons. There were also strange marks that looked like bite marks, but from something with teeth made of metal. "What kind of weapon makes marks like these?" she asked, mostly to herself. The dragon's eye opened and looked at her. For a moment, Lisa felt like something was touching her mind. It wasn't painful, just strange. Images flashed through her head, images of dark ships and creatures with metal teeth hunting through space. "Did you just ... Lisa started to ask, but the feeling was gone. She kept working on the wounds, using everything in her medical kit. The dragon stayed perfectly still, as if it understood she was trying to help. After an hour, she had cleaned and bandaged the worst injuries. "That's all I can do for now," she said, sitting back on her heels. "But you need more help than I can give you here." The dragon lifted its head and looked at her again. This time, Lisa was sure she felt something in her mind. Not words, but feelings. Gratitude, and something else, a warning. "We need to get back to the ship," she said, standing up. "I need to report this to the captain, and this creature needs better medical care than I can provide." As they walked back toward their shuttle, Lisa kept thinking about the strange images she had seen: dark ships hunting through space, metal teeth, and the feeling that something terrible was coming for all of them. Behind them, the dragon watched them leave, its intelligent eyes following their every move.